Good evening. I'd like to welcome everyone to the regular scheduled council meeting for Wednesday, February 19th, 2025. Let the record show that all councilors are present this evening. At this time, we will do a pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, I'll move on to adds and deletes. Deletes consent agenda number 12, in the adds consent agenda number 18 and number 19. Could I have approval of the agenda? Wishes of the council.
So moved.
So moved by Councilor Bayless.
Support.
Support by Councilor Schweberger. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. We'll move on to approval of the minutes. Number 1, approve the minutes of the Hibbing City Council meeting of February 5th, 2025. Wishes of the council.
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by Councilor Fossil.
Support.
Support by Councilor Hoffman-Sockman. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Number 2, approve the minutes of the Hibbing City Council workshop of February 5th, 2025. Wishes of the council.
Motion approved.
Motion approved by Councilor Schweberger.
Support.
Support by Councilor Fossil. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Lastly, approve the minutes of the joint workshop meeting between the Hibbing City Council and the Hibbing School District of February 5th, 2025. Wishes of the council.
Motion approved.
Motion approved by Councilor Whitney.
Support.
Support by Councilor Bayless. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. This time we'll move on to consent agenda. Number 1, approve accounts payable dated February 13, 2025, checks number 179373-179467 in the amount of $798,813.53 and drafts in $68,136.39 for a total of $866,949.92. 2, approve the city payroll ending February 7, 2025 in the amount of $634,830.43. 3, approve the community development director to sign the access agreement with Grace Lutheran Church for Hibbing HRA project. Number 4, authorize the hire of Howie Levine for the full-time maintenance lead effective March 8, 2025. 5, approve the raffle permit application request of Northland Automotive Assistance to hold bingo at the Elks Lodge 1022 on March 6th, 13th, 20th, and 27th of 2025. Number 6, approve the raffle permit application request of Shannon Paulson, Sweet Dreams, to hold their raffle on Saturday, April 12th, 2025 at the Hibbing Bowling Center. Number 7, approve the raffle permit application request of the Hibbing Blessed Sacrament Church to hold their raffle on Saturday, April 26th at the Blessed 2025 at the Blessed Sacrament Church, St. Leo's Social Hall. 8, approve the raffle permit application request of the Hibbing Golf Boosters Incorporated to hold a raffle on Wednesday, May 21st, 2025 at the Masaba Country Club. Number 9, approve the special event permit application form for United Way Park State Bank Adolph Peterson Construction to hold bean bags for the Brave event at the Hibbing Memorial Arena on Thursday, March 20th, 2025. Number 10, approve the special event permit application of Cindy Migley Productions and co-sponsored by the Rain Shrine Circus on Friday, May 16th, 2025 and Saturday, May 17th, 2025 at the Hibbing Memorial Building. 11, approve the workers' compensation policy renewal with the retrospective premium option, retro-rated minimum factor of 0.4151%, retro-rated maximum factor of 1.30%. 12 is passed. 13, accept and place on file the Hibbing Police Department activity report for January 2025. 14, authorize the Hibbing City Council to attend the Sunscreen Film Festival North on Thursday, February 27, 2025 at Valentini's Supper Club from 10 to 2 p.m. 15, set the next Hibbing City Council meeting for Wednesday, March 5th, 2025 at 5 p.m. in the Hibbing City Council chambers. 16, set the next Hibbing City Council workshop meeting for Wednesday, March 5th, 2025, following the regular City Council meeting at 5 p.m. in the Hibbing City Hall Council chambers. 17, set the next Hibbing City Council joint workshop session with the Hibbing Public Utilities Commission for Tuesday, March 11th, 2025, in the second floor conference room at City Hall at 5 p.m. 18, authorize request for qualifications, RFQ, request for proposals for construction management at risk services for the City Hibbing City Hall historical window replacement and masonry restoration. 19, approve the 2026 wine and strong beer license of Randall Murray for the Hibbing Municipal Golf Course LLC. Wishes of the council.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as read and published.
We have a motion by Councillor Hoffman-Sockman. Support?
Support.
Support by Councillor Bayless. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. At this time, we'll move on to public hearing. Basically, the public hearings regarding the capital improvement plan and intent to issue capital improvement bonds by the city of Hibbing, Minnesota, under Minnesota statutes, section 475.521. So 3 times I will ask, is there anybody that wants to speak to this public hearing? Is there anybody that wants to speak to this public hearing? The 3rd time, is there anybody that wants to speak to this public hearing? At this time, do we want to go online, Sheena? Or are we good?
Ron, did the Zoom get turned on? Okay, perfect.
Okay, and basically, would you introduce Sheena, who will be speaking today?
Sure. Good evening, Mayor and members of the council. Nick Anhut is with us from Ellers on the call. He's on Zoom if the council should have any questions regarding the capital improvement plan document that was prepared or for the bonding process for CIP bonds. But generally speaking, at our last meeting, we did call for a public hearing that has been published in our newspaper. The public hearing just took place. Now we're looking to offer resolution number 25-02-03, adopting the capital improvement plan and the preliminary authorization for CIP bonds that would be in an amount not to exceed $10 million. This $10 million would be for the Public Works deferred maintenance portion of the project. The Public Safety Edition, as you know, we have the local option sales tax referendum that was approved, and then we also have the $10 million of state funding. So this $10 million, which isn't necessarily going to be the amounts of the bond, but it would be a not to exceed amount, would cover any additional costs related to maintenance that hasn't been done to the Public Works facility and needs to be taken care of. So I'm asking if council has any questions for myself or Nick. Otherwise, if we could move forward with the resolution.
Okay. Hearing what Ms. Muller had to say, does anybody, councilors, have any questions for Nick from Ellers or Sheena? Hearing none, I say at this point we'll move on to offering the resolution. So basically offer resolution number 250203, adopting the capital improvement plan and preliminary authorization for CIP bonds in the amount not to exceed 10 million. Wishes of the council.
I'll make that motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve by Councilor Bayless,
Support.
support by Councilor Hildebrand. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. And Nick, I thank you for being available.
Thanks, Nick.
Thank you all. Good to see you.
You bet. Okay, we have nothing for public forum tonight, so we'll move on to department and committee reports. First, Community Development Director, Ms. Olamonte.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. Tonight, my first item is a request to approve Resolution 250204, authorizing the City of Hibbing to make application to and accept grant funds from IRRR revenue bonds issued per Minnesota Laws 2024, Chapter 127, Article 69, Sections 15 and 16. In 2023, the City Council and the Hibbing Housing Redevelopment Authority collaborated on a housing needs analysis, which identified a number of factors for the need for additional housing units and preservation of current housing units. Further, we undertook a strategic plan in April of 2023, which outlined the values and goals for housing in the community. And finally, in the 2024 legislative session, the mayor went down to the Capitol and testified on the minimal amendment offered by our range delegation for this particular revenue bond sale. And Hibbing was awarded $1.15 million towards housing development. And so this resolution tonight is to accept those funds for that purpose in our city.
Okay, hearing what Ms. Olivanti had to say regarding housing funds availability, wishes of the council.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve.
We have a motion by Councilor Hoffman-Sockman. Support. Support by Councilor Whitney. Any discussion or questions for Betsy? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. B, Betsy.
Excellent. Item number 2 is a request to approve resolution 250205, finding parcels are occupied by structurally substandard buildings. In the 2018 City of Hibbing Comprehensive Plan, the Community Vision Statement refers to the revitalization of the downtown area as a reason that visitors are attracted to our community. Additionally, the comprehensive plan identified goal number 1 for the built environment section to ensure adequate and affordable housing is available for all residents and potential new residents. We also have goal number 1 of our economic environment sections to support existing businesses. And in 2023, the City of Hibbing undertook a strategic planning process. As part of that work, 6 high priority goals were determined to be worthy of focus for the next 2 years. High priority goal number 2 is to implement a plan and program to revitalize Howard Street. Over the past few years, the Hibbing Economic Development Authority has created the Downtown Commercial Redevelopment Program, and in summer of 2023, we launched this program. Since that time, and the program was developed due to building surveys that determined of the 152 structures in our Howard Street and First Avenue corridors, there were several that were substandard or dilapidated. In August of 2023, as I indicated, City Council then created a redevelopment fund for the 400 block of Howard Street and referred the project to the EDA for facilitation. Since that time, the board has worked with several technical experts to facilitate the project, completed title work and survey, environmental and geotech investigation, conducted a building study to determine the buildings are dilapidated and must be demolished, and obtained demolition estimates, and assessed the potential to use tax increment financing and other sources to cover a portion of the expenses incurred by this project. We have since purchased the properties from 408 to 416 on the 400 block, and this is and secured funding to demolish them from Minnesota Deed and the IRRR. This is the next step in that process to declare the buildings ready for that demolition. So I ask that you approve Resolution 250205 tonight.
Okay, hearing what Ms. Olivanti had to hearing what she had to say regarding Resolution 250205, regarding taking down the structures on the 400 block. Wishes of the council.
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by Councilor Faso.
Support. I'll support.
Support by Councilor Bayless. Any other questions for Ms. Olivanti?
Mr. Mayor, if I may?
Yes.
I just also want to note that last night at the EDA meeting, the HEDA board approved and going out for an RF for the quotes to take those buildings down. So once this is approved, we will start that process as well with our engineering department.
Having said that, what do you feel the time frame is if you were feeling lucky today and you're projecting? What do you feel the time frame would be?
The grant deadline is December of 2027 that we have to expend the funds to take those buildings
Okay.
down. When I contacted LHB, our architect who's working on the bid spec for that, they asked the same question, and I said I'd really like to see them down before 2025. We have a couple of developers that are interested in the site and would like to start some work on that site either in fall of 2025 or spring of 2026.
Very good.
Yep.
Any other questions? We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you, Ms. Olivanti.
Excellent.
Move on to City Administrator, Mr. Przezinski.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, City Council, thank you. So I want to give a little bit of a report on our animal control services, and I want to do it in 2 segments. short-term and a long-term. And normally this is more of a report, but I do have a couple of action items that I want the city council to consider tonight. And the action items will come at the end, but I want to give you a little heads up. So I'm going to ask for permission to hire 2 temporary people to help us with our intake and pound needs. And there's the 2 action items would be a job description, and then hiring of 2 individuals that we have. They're actually volunteers, but we want to morph them into something that's a little bit more formal, so we have some formality to that work relationship, or that employee-employer relationship. So just to kind of set the stage, the city is operating an animal intake / pound service, right? We're trying to meet our internal animal control needs. We do have the authority under the Minnesota statute to do so. I know that was one of those misnomers out there, that we don't have the authority to do this, but we do. And again, the intake is to meet animal control needs internally. For example, our public safety folks might find a stray pet, a cat, a dog, and what we end up doing, and this is under the statute, we bring that animal into the shelter, and they are there for a 5-day hold while we try to find their owner and reunite the pet with the owner. If we don't find that owner and reunite those folks, what we end up doing is we get together with another agency, and they do the adoption of that animal. So I wanted to make sure the city council kind of remembers what we're doing, but also I want our public to know what's going on and what the facts are. So I'm going to pause there, ask for city council feedback, questions, and possible answers.
Do we have like, how long we might be doing it in this manner then?
That's a great question. If I felt lucky today, I would say about 6 months.
Okay.
Give or take. We'll try to move it along as quickly as we can, and that'll be the conversation in the second segment of my report to the city council. I know that we have some statistics, number of animals we've taken in. Would you like to share that?
Sure. Mayor and council, so just one thing back to what Greg was just saying is it could be no longer than 6 months, because we would be hiring temporary people and they can only work 25 hours a week. I just wanted to put that out there too. Secondly, we have had 3 cats and we are down to 1, and we have had 5 dogs and we're down to 2, but 1 is on a bite hold. So, thank you.
So that's a high-level report to the city council. I'm trying to give enough information but not get into the minutia. So the first item would be action on a job description. My apologies to the city council. I didn't have this ahead of time. We just kind of finished or wrapped it up this morning. So there's a job description. It's pretty straightforward. The job title is dog pound attendant. It's encapsulated in our police department, reports up to our code enforcement supervisor. Primary responsibilities: feed, water, care for animals. So it is pretty straightforward, but I would give the city council a moment to review and ask questions. And that would require city council action to implement that job description.
Okay, what I see here, and correct me if I'm wrong, Greg, what you're looking for is pound attendant during the duration that we are moving forward to finalizing how we want our range regional shelter to operate.
Yes, and we're asking for some temporary help.
Support.
Yep, to do that. I mean, it's basic animal care is what it
Okay.
is.
And we're looking, what I heard you say is you're thinking it might take up to another 6 months through just an intake till we get this resolved. Are we looking at, I guess what I hear from the residents and people that have reached out to me is they would still love to see our shelter be an operating shelter as we operated in the past. But there's a process to get there. And that's what I'm kind of, I'm asking you right now, what do you see as a time frame where we would go out for RFPs, or we work with the RRAR, the existing 501c3, and putting, you know, a board together? Where are we sitting right now?
So those are all great questions, and I'm hoping to be able to cover that in the longer term solution, and those will be the questions that we ask the city council for direction on. We hope to be able to solve this within the next 6 months is our goal. Hopefully sooner than that.
Right.
The next segment is just that, animal control services long-term. And what we'll do, Mr. Mayor, is we'll try to map out the options the city council has as we see them. There could be others if the city council has other possible solutions to meet our animal control needs long-term. We would love to hear about that. And of those 3 or 4 possible solutions, what action items does the city council want to see staff perform? For example, do you want us to formalize an RFP, get that out, and see if there's some interest in taking over, which the existing 501c3 would definitely have an opportunity to weigh in, respond to the RFP on, okay, here's our strategy to move forward. So, I mean, that's part of what we want to talk about yet this evening.
Okay.
I hope that answered all your questions. I mean, there's
Yeah, I think that answered the questions, and the one thing that which is really important that people understand, anytime that the city is involved with a facility or providing finances for an organization, there is an accountability aspect of that that's accountable to the city and our finance department. And that is one component that we have to make sure is in place and is followed. It doesn't matter, we have many entities, from municipal golf course to concession stands where they have to be accountable. Some are weekly, some are monthly, but we have to treat every entity that's getting funding or using our facilities with city backing, that we're consistent with how we approach this.
I thought that was a great summary. Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
So, the current nonprofit, they will not be involved for the next 6 months. They will be under our purview then to provide those services. Is that right? We're going to work independent from the 501c3.
Yep, that's a great question, and yes to all of it.
Okay, good.
Yep, so we will be running that internally. The city will be doing that. Remember, we already own the building and take care of the utilities, and there's some other things. We do have some internal resources to be able to do that. We're not asking for additional funding from the city council. It's all in place. So we've been taking a look at that, but yes, we would be doing that internally.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Couple questions.
Yes.
How we're doing it right now with the 5 days, then going out to another rescue to adopt the animals out. Number one, like, are animals like being seen by any kind of a vet at all to determine any pre-existing conditions? I know there was some heartburn from the group that took the cats because one of the cats was pregnant and they did not know that, and now they had to care for 6 kittens. And is this just a job description, or do we have candidates for these part-time workers?
Yeah, so I'll handle the second one first. So yes, assuming the city council takes action on the job description, we do have 2 individuals that we're going to ask the city council permission to put into those roles pending successful pre-employment contingencies, background investigation, so to speak. And then the first question was veterinarian services. As far as I know, we have not been doing any vet services for these animals. Remember, they're coming in as a stray, oftentimes a pet. They're here for a 5-day hold. We're not obligated under the statute to do that, as far as I know. We could. I mean, it's an option for us to do, but my understanding of the statute is we're not required to do that. We haven't been doing it, mostly because of staff time. I mean, we don't have full-time staff to conduct a lot of those backgrounds, including the veterinarian services.
Lost my train of thought here. I had another question for you. As far as, do we have any groups that have actively reached out and said, hey, we'll take strays, or any kind of formal agreements, or are we just, as the animals come in, feeling out different rescue operations?
Thank you, Counselor Whitney. So yes, we have had Precious Paws. They sent over like an agreement. They called it not an actual agreement, but it was like an intake agreement, or I can't remember what it was called. Sorry. But they have offered to do it for a fee. And so with the cat that was unknown pregnant, that cat and another cat went up to a
Ely?
place in Ely. Yep, and they took them for free. So that was, our initial reaction was, both are very great resources, and they could have gone to either, but at that point, we just decided, okay, they'll take them for free, because someone reached out to me from there, and that was what we did. It had no like ill will towards the other one who had a fee.
Yeah, and that's
Yeah.
fine. I mean,
Yeah.
and if they offered to take them, then found out the cat was pregnant, well, I guess that's on you if there was heartburn over it. I mean, like, they offered to take them, so I understand that, but.
Correct. Yep. And so I have been actively involved with the Minnesota Department of Animal Health. And he's the head veterinarian, Steve, and he said that because they don't license pounds or intakes like Grand Rapids, they don't do that, Aiken, they don't do that, but we can not vet them, whether it's right or wrong. We're not obligated to vet them. So as long as we're putting them out to the other resources in the state, we're following their rules.
Sure,
Mhm.
I would just
Yep.
these groups should know that. I
Yeah.
mean, like, if, you can't be mad if the cat is
Right.
pregnant if you offered to take it. So
Sure.
just,
Yep.
as long
And-
as they know that up front, like,
Yeah, and we are not going to adopt out any animals. We're going to do it as a resource with other shelters. Mhm.
So Counselor, that's a good point. Certainly, we would want any of those partners to know what they're getting into with an animal. I mean, that's fair, right? We have a cat that's gonna have kittens, or a dog that's gonna have puppies. So are you asking us to take action on that? Is that what?
just as long as whoever's like, oh, we'll take those cats from you, like, okay, like this is like
Right.
as is, no warranty, like, you
And that's
don't
fair.
try to be mad at us or hold us
Right.
liable if something comes up with one of the animals, medically or pregnancy or
And we
whatever.
do, I just want to make sure that you know, we do appreciate those other groups assisting us as we do our due diligence and move through this space and make sure that we have a pathway for animal services, so appreciate that.
Well, I think it's important that we're not adopting out, that we're just in a hold for these animals before they move on to another shelter that will take them, whether it's gratis or we pay to have them take them. But I just think it's important that we're not doing the actual adopting, because for that, I
Yes.
think you would have to vet. And we don't want to go there right now until we know exactly how we're going to set this shelter up.
And I would support that 100%. If we are going to adopt out, we should be doing some veterinarian services on the front side. I would agree.
So, Greg, I think I heard you mention that we do not have a veterinarian, is that correct? But it's in the job description? So is that for something in the future, or do we need to look at that? Or what are your thoughts?
So, great question. I think the rationale behind it, and I'm gonna turn it over to Candy in a second, is if need be, if we have an injured animal, we're going to need to take some sort of action. We'll just have to figure that out. So I think that's why it was included here.
Correct. So it's kind of they do like a once-over if there's anything wrong with it, meaning physically, you know, that they can tell, then we would definitely get it to a veterinarian. But again, it's up to the council. If that's what you would want to pay for, you know, if you want us to bring all the animals to the vet, we can do that at your, you know, with your action.
Well, what I heard you say is we're basically running like Grand Rapids runs right now, and I think that's what we need to do until we finish vetting our whole process out on how we want to move forward as a shelter. And as I mentioned earlier, from everything and everybody that's reached out to me, they're looking for us to have a full-fledged shelter similar to what we had in the past. But it doesn't happen overnight. It's a process. And we are moving towards it.
And we can't repeat what we went through. I
No.
mean, it was a debacle. It's like, just have to really do this right.
Any other questions for Mr. Prusinski? Greg, any other comments?
Nothing from my office, no.
Very good. All right, at this time, we'll move on to bids and quotes.
Sorry, Greg.
Oh, but I do,
Did
I'm
you want
sorry.
action on those?
Yeah, I do need
Oh, I'm
action
sorry.
on the job description, and then item number 2 would be putting people into the
Okay.
roles.
So we have a request, looking for a motion to approve this job description that is before you. Wishes of the council.
Motion approved.
Motion approved by Councilor Schweberger,
Support.
support by Councilor Fossil. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. And 2, to move forward with,
Yep, so the second action item would be permission to put Travis Matich and Melissa Makala into that role of dog pound attendant, pending successful pre-employment contingencies.
very good. Hearing what Mr. Prusinski had to say, wishes of the council.
Motion approved.
Motion approved by Councilor Bayless. Support?
Support.
Support by Councilor Fossil. Any other discussion?
Quick question.
Yes,
Do the-
Councilor Whitney.
What do these folks have in as far as background of animal care?
Sure. So they have been not working out there, they've been volunteering out there for us since this happened in February 1st. They were previous employees of RRAR. They know the building, they know how to deal with, you know, the animals that come in from intake. So we've been working directly with them.
Any other questions? Hearing none, all in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you, Greg.
One more thing.
One more thing, yep.
So, remember I said 2 segments, and we've done a lot of the debate already. So our long-term animal control services, we've identified 4 different options. One is do nothing, which is always an option. We don't think that's a practical solution because there's a need here. We know that there's a need. The second option, divest of the building. We could sell it to some other third party and they could do services out of there or whatever they wanted with that building. Again, I'm not so sure that's a great practical solution. We can continue long-term to do the intake like we're doing it now. We're trying to get it set up, so we would just, you know what, this is a long-term solution. We'd need some additional staff resources. And then the fourth one would be an RFP, which doesn't give us any guarantees that we're gonna find a group to do it, but we would establish if there's interest, up to and including the RAR folks. But it would also put the city council in the position that if we did have a third party that wanted to operate the shelter, to renew the terms and conditions and have some control over how it works and get a fresh agreement into place. My recommendation to the city council is an RFP, establish if there's some interest out there. If there is, who it is, what's the plan to move forward, and kind of just be very formal on how this thing gets assembled, which is kind of what I'm hearing around the table. So I would open it up for discussion and direction.
Yes, sir.
So Greg, on that RFP, could you have, would you ask if they would like to purchase the building? Would that be something you would do within that RFP if there was an organization out there that would like to purchase the property and the building?
Counselor, I hadn't thought of that, but it could certainly be an option.
The only thing I would have to bring up would be, because the land is owned by the airport, would they be in on that?
Right, so maybe we have those conversations
Right.
starting, and then if maybe that might be an option.
So there could be some.
Like, probably Grand Rapids, right? Is that what you're thinking, Councilor?
No, I mean, they own, that's a city-owned building, but
Oh,
like all
but-
these other rescue groups own their own buildings.
Mhm.
Like, I just have reservations about going down this road again in a city-owned building with a 501c3 group. I mean, I'd love to do business with any rescue group, but it'd be nice if we weren't involved in funding it, maintaining it, and they just owned and operated, and we had a contract with them to take our animals and find them homes.
And you're right, the structure is a little bit different than what I've experienced. Normally, animal control services are very specific to your internal needs, and then, you know, a city would get those animals to a shelter where they need to go. I would refer to that as a fee-for-service. It's not very often where the local municipality owns the building, has a long-term lease with a third party on the real estate, pays for the overhead, utilities, et cetera, and a monthly flat rate. That's a unique situation. First time I've seen it. So that is a little bit different. It just kind of changes our role in the whole animal control services world. Not that it's right or wrong, it's just different than what I've seen. So Counselor, to your point, that could be an option. My thought would be, if that is something that we want to explore, we would reach out to the landowner first and try to do some fact finding, do some cost analysis, what the buyout would be. I guess the other thing that comes to my mind, would the real estate owner be willing to reassign that lease agreement? That would be another option. I mean, there's just a lot to that, how we kind of make that happen, but if the city council wants to RFP this, I think we should probably take a look at that and see if there is a real option in, okay, do we buy out that property or that real estate? Which then gives us the flexibility to say, okay, we want to sell it outright and be done with it, or have a little bit more control over it.
Yeah, the whole airport thing is just another weird wrinkle to it. And if we could get out of that, that would be, I think, fantastic.
So, not to open up a can of worms here, but it's my understanding some of that stuff that's inside the building is owned by RRAR. Are we going to rent that to be able to provide the services?
I didn't hear what you said, I'm sorry.
So some of the things inside that building are owned by RRAR. Are we going to have to lease that or rent from them to be able to use those, if there's kennels or anything else out there, or how is that going to work?
Okay, so right now, they do have some things within the building, but after going through some things that were back from 2011 and 12, the cat kennels are actually the city's, so they were given to us. And then the dog kennels are also ours, so because they're affixed. The cat kennels are not fixed, but there's kind of a little story behind the cat kennels, and they were given to the city. So I think either the city bought them or they were given money to buy them, but they will stay with the building. So all of RRAR's things have been boxed up. I think maybe they're using their cat dishes or something like
Okay,
that. And dog
good. I just think
dishes.
that's
Yeah.
important that the public
No, we've
is
been
aware
very
of that, that
careful.
you've been very,
Yeah. We've been
Good
very
job.
careful. You know, we bought food for them, the animals that we've had out there.
Good,
What about
thank
that,
you.
I'm sorry.
No.
What about that vehicle? Don't they have a vehicle?
So the vehicle was picked up, I asked them to take that out of, I didn't want something happening to it on our, you know, on the property if they're not out there. So that has been taken, it is RRAR's. It was a donation.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, thank you for all your work out there.
Any other questions? So Greg, do you feel do you want an actual motion which way to go? Or do you think we have a understanding of the council?
So, I don't necessarily need an action, I don't think.
No.
Do we all kind of agree that an RFP is the next best step?
Mhm.
I mean, I'm seeing it, so
Yeah.
what we'll do is we'll spin that up. I know there's some things that we want to change in there and improve and clarify. The action will be at the next meeting, have the city council take action on the RFP.
Microphone.
Well, my apologies. So no action tonight. What I am seeing is an RFP is the next step for us. The action item will come at the next city council meeting. What we'll do is we'll spin up the RFP. I know we've already got a template. We'll clarify some things and make some edits, but we'll get that to the city council at the next meeting, and then we'll get it out 30 days, I think, is probably what we're thinking as far as a turnaround. That'll give all the partners a chance to take a look at it, ask their questions, and then respond, so.
Very good. Any other questions for Mr. Krasinski? Okay, thank you, Greg.
Yep.
At this time, we'll move on to bids and quotes. First up, Ms. Supla.
Thank you, Mayor and councilors. Before you is its approval for the quote from AVI Systems in the amount of $13,038.89. This is an annual agreement with AVI, and it's for the cablecast server, our council chamber equipment, our software, all of our apps that we have, whether it's on TV or on your computer. And like I said, it's an annual agreement, and I'm just bringing that forward for you.
Okay, hearing what Ms. Supla had to say regarding the AVI system, in the amount of $13,038.89. Wishes of the council.
Motion approved.
Motion approved by Councilor Whitney,
Support.
support by Councilor Bayless. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you, Candy. At this time, we'll move on to Superintendent of Wastewater, Mr. Hurd.
Mayor,
Evening.
good morning, or good evening. Mayor and council members, the first thing that I have is the purchase of new chlorine and sulfur dioxide equipment. The current stuff we have is almost 20 years old. It's a very corrosive environment, and it's way past its useful life. So the quote that I have is for it's a single source vendor, but it allows us to use some of the equipment we purchased last year with this to save some money, and we can take some of our old equipment that we have, some injectors and things like that, and save them for backups in case one goes out, you can swap them out. So it'll save us some money. So the new stuff with scales would be $23,700 plus 85 cents a foot for the tubing. And the tubing is probably about 250 feet or so, is my guess.
Is that a PEX, or is it copper? What kind
No,
of tubing is it?
it's a plastic tubing, but it's thicker than PEX.
Okay.
It's especially for sulfur dioxide and
Okay,
chlorine.
all right.
And that was with Hawkins Chemical.
Very good. Okay, hearing what Mr. Hurd had to say regarding new chlorine, sulfur dioxide equipment. Wishes of the council.
Motion approved.
Motion approved by Councilor Schreiber.
Support.
Support by Councilor Hildebrand. Any discussion? Dave, what do you figure to get this equipment in place?
It'll be in place within a month, probably.
Okay, very good. Hearing no other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. B, Dave.
Okay, B is a mud well pump, and this brings water back from backwashing our filters, and that will bring it back to the head of the plant to reprocess it. We have two of them that we alternate, and one went out, and it was to rebuild it would cost almost as much as buying a new one. And this is a flight pump, and I know the city has been trying to get all flight pumps for everything. So a new one was $17,057 plus freight.
Okay, hearing what Mr. Hurd had to say regarding a new electric pump, mud well pump. Wishes of the council.
Motion to approve?
Motion approved by Counselor Fossil,
Support.
support by Counselor Hoffman Sockman. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. C, Dave.
Thank you. The last is to install a flow meter in our filter building. This actually controls the mud well pumps so that they can be on automatic, and you can leave them run at night so we can bring the flow back to the plant in the kind of the down hours, which helps us out during the day. You're not getting some peak flows. And that is a confined space, and I don't think that my staff we don't have the equipment to actually go down there and do it safely. So I put that out for bids, and the low bid was Iron Range Plumbing at $1,765, and they would knock off $140 if we provide a whole watch, which I would do.
Okay. Very good. Hearing what Mr. Hurd had to say regarding a quote to install a flow meter. Wishes of the council.
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by Counselor Bayless,
Support.
support by Counselor Fossil. Any discussion? Questions for Dave? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you, Dave.
Thank you.
Appreciate your presentation. At this time, I'll look for a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
So moved by Counselor Bayless,
Support.
support by Counselor Whitney. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Have a good evening.